Hey everybody, we're back. It's your average jeweler. We're talking birthstones today. We're in December, we got Christmas with snow, cold, but we want to talk about some blue gemstones today that I find them quite interesting, but there's differences. So let's get into the good, the bad, and really there's not much ugly. If you happen to be new here, please subscribe. We do a lot of different videos, everything from talking about gemstones to diamonds, sometimes things like watches. The point is, we're trying to answer questions that people commonly have in a jewelry store. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the buttons below and we'll keep learning together. Getting right into it today, the first stone I want to talk about is actually blue topaz. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, specifically talking about gem value, we talked about blue topaz a bit. One of the biggest takeaways is blue topaz happens to be irradiated as a rule. Topaz doesn't really occur naturally in those colors. Sometimes we see it in blue. It's very rare, but it's a different color than we're used to seeing. Interestingly enough, they make it, because again it's a manufactured color, in three typical colors. You have your Swiss blue, you have your London blue, and you have your sky blue. So there are some differences. If I was to say which color is most associated with December, I would probably say the Swiss blue, maybe the sky blue. London blue tends to be a color not commonly associated with December. So it is interesting that while they're all blue topaz, not all of them would be traditionally December birthstones. If you're confused as I say that, I made another video talking about birthstone basics, where I actually discuss the argument of what is the traditional viewpoint of birthstones versus some commonly accepted ways to utilize birthstones today. I didn't want to get too deep into specifics today. I wanted this to be kind of a quick, fun video. So in talking about blue topaz, I'm not going to get into all of the chemical structure and different things like that today. It's a stone we've talked about before, but again, something that sets it apart would be those three distinct colors. And then the other thing is the price point. The price point on blue topaz is generally going to be less expensive than some of your other options. Because it's a manufactured color, they can take very inexpensive topaz and turn it into pretty blue. So if you're looking for a good price point option, blue topaz is almost always a good bet. The second stone for December is turquoise, and turquoise is actually a stone that has its own color named after it. So the thing that makes turquoise interesting is that particular blue color that you find it in. And sometimes it can be described almost as a robin's egg blue, other times you see it in more of a very greenish blue, and sometimes it is in fact more of a green color overall. But it's an interesting stone, not just for the color, but because it's commonly found with different types of matrix in it, and that is the stone that it grew in, sometimes limestone or sandstones, and it gives it a lot of contrast, it gives it a lot of character. People that like turquoise usually like the different matrix that you can find, and some of them being more rare than others, of course that's going to affect the value. The color itself is going to affect the value, but ultimately it's a really neat option. The thing that you want to keep in mind with something like turquoise in comparison to the others again is going to be the fact that it's not going to be the most durable for something like a ring. Usually when I talk about durability, you immediately hear me reference something like a ring, because that is what tends to take the most beating. With that said, you can actually look at things like bracelets as well and use that as a little bit of a gauge, because a bracelet again is going to be an item that takes more of a beating than something like a pendant or something like earrings. Earrings and pendants and the like are not going to be as prone to being hit or knocked or damaged in those ways. So when you think about turquoise, if you're thinking a bracelet or a ring of some sort, just keep in mind it can get damaged over time. It's not a crystalline gemstone, so you do want to be cautious as far as it breaking or chipping if it takes a really hard knock. It's a tough stone, but not nearly as hard as some of the others that we talk about. The third stone on this list is zircon. And I just talked about this in another video in stones that don't get the credit I really think they should. Zircon is on that list because most people don't hear of it, or they confuse it with cubic zirconia. Cubic zirconia is a diamond simulant, it's lab created. Zircon is a natural gemstone. Now zircon does come in many different colors, but again, for the sake of traditional birthstones, blue zircon is going to be your traditional December birthstone. In fact, I would say it's the most traditional on this list. Now zircon is best known because it's such a lively gemstone. Its refractive index is essentially off the charts. It refracts more light than even something like a diamond does. So it gives it a really lively appearance. When you see it in person, I think you'll know what I mean. But all you have to do is move it just a little bit to see all of this light and texture and the colors moving around. I think zircon deserves way more credit than it gets, and out of this list, it's my favorite stone because again, it has those characteristics that make it look so alive. It's such a vibrant stone. Like anything, the colors can fluctuate. You can get much more vivid colors in some, where others might even start to look more like aquamarine in saturation. And like a lot of gemstones, it does have to go through heat treatment almost all the time, much like sapphires. Occasionally you'll find natural blue zircon, but usually that coloring is caused through heat treatment. I happen to be this particular month for birthstones, and I like my birthstone, I really do. My one complaint, if you will, is that as you look at this list of 3 birthstones, none of them are fantastically rugged or tough. And I do wish there was an option for December that was a little more durable. Sometimes people will use irradiated diamonds in more of that teal blue color as an option for this. You can find some really interesting colored diamonds that mimic what people associate with the December birthstones. Again, if you're curious how I use birthstones and what a birthstone really means, I'd encourage you to check out the Birthstone Basics video that I did, because I do really get into some of that conversation so that you understand when someone says, well, this is my birthstone, and another person might disagree, where a lot of those talking points come from. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, let me know below what you're actually getting out of these. And if you have a favorite out of these 3 stones, let me know that too. I really like to interact. I like to know what you're learning. I like to know what you're thinking. So let me know in the comment section. As always, thanks for being here. I hope you come back and keep learning.